Hello.
All right. How's it going? We're back. What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the Over and Out show. It has been a while.
I was about to say it's 2024, but it's not, is it?
It might as well.
I just got
might as well be.
Adobe Audition 2024 just that's installed now.
So you're
I'm ahead of time.
game.
Yeah.
ahead of time.
I just thought of something. Talking about time, I know we just go straight into this before we do it. Did you watch the show on TV the other night called Uncanny?
No.
It's all about like this guy trying to find ghosts and doing stories like that. And at some
real
point,
life or
yeah,
a TV
real life,
show?
real life. Well, it's a TV show, real life. And there was a thing in it where this woman says she comes out of her like her bedroom at night. She walks down the corridor and sees an old guy with a beard, like kind of like one of those old nursery rhymes, like proper Charles Dickens, with the hat on and the little candle thing,
a candlestick on a little holder.
Exactly. And she says she walks out, and this ghostly figure walks out of his door, looks at her, and then freaks out as she sees her and she sees him. And I turned around to Yasmin, and she wasn't really paying attention because she didn't like that stuff. But I was like, oh my God, you know what this is like? This isn't like her seeing a ghost. What if they've somehow merged in time and she's gone back in time to like his era and she's gone forward in time to like her era? So he's got up out of bed hearing a noise, she's got up out of her bed hearing a noise, and they've seen each other in some kind of weird time warp thing. And then literally about 10 seconds later, he's talking to the woman. She goes, oh, yeah, that's called time slipping. And I was like, oh, brilliant. So my theory on time warping with ghosts is called time slipping. And apparently this is quite common. Well, I say quite common. Welcome to the show on ghosts.
Welcome back, guys, to a show that's got nothing to do with ghosts.
I just thought it was amazing. Yeah.
That is quite
time
amazing,
slipping.
actually.
And
Time slipping.
Yeah, apparently it happens, like it has happened, that kind of thing. So
And
look it
what's
up.
the show called?
It's called Uncanny.
Uncanny.
Yeah, apparently there's a podcast as well.
Of course there is. Of course there is.
Well, it was originally a podcast, and now they've turned it into a TV show. So.
That's what we're hoping will happen here, folks.
Exactly.
So Ryan and I, we're back for the the Over and Out show. We've aptly named this episode. All right, we'll call it a bridge, a hybrid between seasons, if you like. And we've decided to call this episode "Keep Going," a phrase that fucks us both off, but actually is probably the one thing we need to do. Keep going.
Do you think we should add "just" in brackets before it?
Just keep going.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
Keep
just
going?
keep going.
Just keep going.
Yeah. It'll be one of the two of those. Just keep going. So if you are new to this podcast, it's, to summarize it as best as possible, it's sort of, how do we say this? The musings of two professional creatives talking about their industry very vaguely, isn't it? Like things we've learned, experiences, nuances, stuff around video production, photography, working freelance for yourself as a commercial creative.
Yeah. Things like that. Professionals talking about professional things.
Yeah.
In and amongst
but in
other
in a lighthearted way.
In and amongst ghost stories and time slipping. So there you go.
So we started this podcast. I guess, look, if you've been listening to this, thanks very much. There's loads of episodes if you haven't. Like, there's far too many episodes for the amount of... I was going to say love, but it's not so much love because we've had loads of love from the few people that do listen to it.
It doesn't even matter about love. It's just no one. From all of you, all 10 of you, maybe 20. How many subscribers do we have right now?
Like 100 or something on
It's
on
just
YouTube.
as well it isn't about subscribers, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. We've
Not
learned
for
anything
us.
over our long career of making internet content.
To be
It's
fair,
all about the numbers.
well, podcast content, it is, since 2020? It would be 2020. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
It's a long time ago. We did 85 episodes in a row. We did keep going then.
Wasn't it?
And it didn't work.
We absolutely did. Look, folks, if you're going to take one thing away from this show, it's that never have two guys found so many different ways on different platforms and different mediums to build no audience. It's actually fascinating. I think it's a skill. Like, we should host a talk show, well, a podcast potentially. We should be running courses on if you'd like to continually put effort into social media and online content and get nowhere. We're the guys. We are the guys for that.
We are.
We have perfected it. The perfection of being like just blacklisted across the board.
It's actually funny because I think it's almost like the less I do online, the more followers I gain. And then I start putting content out and you're like, whoa, hang on a minute. Whoa. Yeah. A, hang on, we're not meant to be showing this guy to anyone because he's blacklisted on the algorithm. B, people that have followed realize I actually make content. And so,
yeah.
I thought we were doing follow for follow. And it's like, oh, no. No. We're just doing.
Sometimes I do wonder about that. I guess so. Today's episode, right, is a hybrid between seasons. We've done 3 seasons. We wanted to start a 4th season because we quite enjoy this podcast. So we're going to sort of talk through, I guess, the background of why we started it, the point of doing a podcast, whether we think a podcast like this in 2023 and 2024 is even worth bothering doing.
Gary Vee says it is. I saw a thing on, I think it was Shorts. It was, I don't know, it was some short form content. And he was like, if you're not doing, why he doesn't sound like an old man. If you're not doing podcasts in 2024, says Gary Vee. Gary V. Gary V.
Vierson.
Oh my God. But anyway, he says, if you're not doing them in 2024, I mean, who are you? What are you? What's the point?
When was this? So this was a recent one.
Oh, I saw it recently, and it did have 2024.
To be fair, though, Gary Vee was pushing NFTs.
Yeah, that worked out, didn't he?
And they're dead in the water.
Yeah, I can imagine on his virtual wall at home, he's got all those pictures of horses and shit. You know, look at them all. Worth nothing.
Pixels.
You know,
worthless pixels.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we kind of want to talk through that, and then we'd like to push this podcast out in a bit more of a structure and a bit more focused. We to say we lost our way at times would probably be an understatement.
Well, I mean, both of us are borderline midlife crisis. I mean, it's fair assumption.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
I'm a little bit closer than you are.
Mm-hmm. We both rode into this podcast studio today on one wheels.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I got shouted at by a bunch of hoods as well.
Did you?
I got called Marty McFly again. Marty McFly. So I was like, okay.
I got called Skater Dude the other day.
By who? Who called you that? These people?
I don't know how old people are. Younger than me.
Skater Dude.
And it was like, because he was in a gang of youths. Yeah. And
even just saying that sentence just makes you seem super old, doesn't it?
I know.
Of youths over there.
I don't even care anymore. I think
I know. I've got to that point where I just refer to them as youths as well.
Youths.
Like you've no idea.
No, it's YOUF. F if you're feeling fruity. S. You know, youths. Okay. Anyway, so he said. Youths. But the thing is, it wasn't even aggressive. He just looked at me and went, "Skater Dude," and I wanted to go. It was just. I'm glad I didn't, because youths would have made me look cool. I just wanted to go, "Yeah, gangster."
Sorry, you said that, or you wanted to say that?
I wanted to say that, and then my brain got the better of me and went, "Best leave it." Because
you wouldn't have pulled that off.
No,
you'd have thrown a shaka or something.
Yeah, well,
which would have been the incorrect sign to throw.
What is that?
That's like the surf hang 5 shaka islander sign.
The funny thing is, when I went to say, when I was just telling that story, and you were when I was about to say gangster, I was about to do that, and I can't remember. When we look back at the footage, I might have gone to go and do it, and that's totally not the wrong thing, because you should be doing like, is it West Side, I don't know. I should stop right now. You know when we said keep going, this is not when you keep going.
Definitely not. So, talking of keeping going, the OverAndOut show is officially back. I can hear you all sitting there going, now I can cancel my Netflix subscription. The lads are back with more mindless dribble to entertain our ear holes. But we're going to try to focus this one a little bit more after we get past this bridge. Consider this episode a bit like a therapy stopgap. where
To be
we
fair,
can clear
I think-
things up and work out where we're going with this.
Moving forward, it's probably going to be a massive just therapy session for everyone
Yeah.
involved,
Yeah.
really, to be honest. There's a lot going on
So-
in the world to
Well,
be
let's look
discussed.
back. Let's looking back. Right.
I was going to say,
Looking
let's look
at
back.
this.
Do you mean I have to do a freaking,
Yeah.
the best of the... I couldn't even be bothered to do a best of.
No, we don't need a smash cut. I was just thinking
No.
of a shit transition. Just throw the leaves in there. Leaves. Just throw the leaves in. So, going back, we started this podcast 2020, right in the middle of the shitstorm, right? And we started this podcast for two reasons, really. One, Sennheiser were nice enough to give us a whole load of microphones.
They're discontinued now.
Yeah, and you can't get hold of these mics anymore. So they're relics, right?
We're using vintage mics.
So amongst a bunch of different mics, they give us these podcast mics. We were like, well, we might as well, your studio mics. So we was like, we might as well do a podcast with them.
Absolutely.
And then we were in the middle of the whole pandemic bullshit, and we had a lot of time on our hands. So we decided, let's start a podcast for the crack, just to learn a little bit about the production of it. Just to, we dabbled, but I think that was a really good stepping stone for how to build. I don't know about you, but I learned a lot from that. What did we do? 60, 70 episodes?
85.
Back? No, but in the first season, back to back.
I was about...
Wasn't 85, was
it? No, maybe it was 85 total.
I think it was 85 total. I think it was like 60 odd.
It was
back to
it was
back.
more episodes than most people have done in their whole podcast career.
Yeah. And when you watch a lot of stuff about podcasts, people giving podcast advice, especially, a lot of people say, the drop off point of producing podcasts is after a handful of podcasts, and then you have a handful of episodes, and then you give up. But if you just keep going, just keep pushing and keep uploading, and stay consistent, it'll kick off. Then the podcast platforms will push you out. YouTube will go, these people are putting in some effort, some time, and they'll start to push that out.
You missed out of the word there. You said, you got to keep pushing, you got to keep going, stay consistent. But we clearly add no value to the world.
The golden word, yeah. Word value, which is a very debatable. Well, to be honest, I think that's a debatable word in its own, and I think that probably is the bit that has stifled our growth to I don't know though, but I feel like we had some episodes that were really focused, but I think a lot of the time what happened is the two of us just lost a run of ourselves, and we started talking about ghosts and traveling through time, and lost everybody immediately
from the get-go. This is the problem with all my content. No one gets me, man. It's the trouble with genius,
troubled artist,
dying inside artist.
But we did like all these episodes back to back, thinking this will be, and it was, bear in mind, like to produce each of these episodes, we wanted to do them from a standard that was higher than we had seen anywhere else. Technical standard, by the way. Given it was a remote podcast. So we wanted to get the idea of having...
For those who haven't seen this before, I'm in London. Dyllon is in Belfast.
Yeah.
That's how remote we are.
So we're not... Yeah, we are not in the same room. And the magic behind this was we always wanted us to feel like we were in the same room.
I've just realized I've been looking to my left. I think that's where I was looking before. I'm pretty sure it wasn't to my right, because that just doesn't feel natural.
No, it's definitely to your left.
Definitely to my left. Good. Because the first 15 minutes of this are going to look really stupid, me looking the wrong way.
It's going to look like one of those... Rock the boat, then rock the boat at a wedding.
Or just the old guy with dementia looking the other way going, eh?
Yeah. People were like, just Joe Biden on that podcast. As he falls off his seat.
Oh, no, he didn't. Oh, no, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Topical.
You did.
You didn't. So, I mean, look, we did this, right? We pushed these episodes out every single day. And to produce this podcast the way we were doing it is the two of us shooting on identical cameras, shooting 4K, recording audio separately, mixing all the audio and video together. And I would then upload my finished, track to the interclouds. And then Ryan would download it from the... he would download it from the cloud. All right. And then he would edit the main edit up with the intro, outro, and then send it back to me. I think alone we were probably using up most of the bandwidth in our area. He'd send this clip back, And then I would chop it into bits, and I would take frames out and build the social medias and post the cuts on socials, and then we'd run it on. And I'd bounce out an audio version of that, so we'd end up with a full-length video, a couple of snippets for the social medias, and then no one would give a fuck, effectively. And we did that relentlessly for about 65 days. And it took, how long was that taking back then? What, 5 hours a day, including recording?
I forget. I have no memory of it. It took a time. Like, to be honest, I don't know. It's but actually, to be honest, it was mostly the upload and download that took the longest. The internet, the bandwidth is what held us back every single time, single time. And now we have, what was that thing you sent me the other day? Wi-Fi.
Now we've worked out why.
Yeah, because Wi-Fi and AI can now. What was it? Like
they map your room through through sound waves.
Yeah.
Via and your radio frequencies via Wi-Fi.
By your Wi-Fi router, right?
Yeah. And then they build up a digital picture of your room. So it's like, get the fuck out of that, lads, and let us use the internet.
Oh my God. You know what? Yeah, well, there's the whole thing. It's like, I can't even get Wi-Fi from one end of my 2-bedroom flat to the other. And it's because these like fuckers are like, AI is just bandwidthing it all, ruining all the bandwidth with their sonar frequency bullshit.
Yeah. And do they quit?
No. They just keep going.
Yeah, exactly. They just keep doing it.
Actually, just as a point there, that's one of those things. When everyone goes like, "Oh, AI is going to ruin my job. It's going to take everything," and it's like, guys, you're doing stuff like that. Why can't we get AI to solve like world hunger, or like Bluetooth, or internet, so I can get internet from one side of my 2-bedroom flat in London to the other? With having perfect Wi-Fi without everything, switching off. It's like, can we fix that? What we don't need is Wi-Fi tracking us by sonar through our own house.
Yeah.
Don't need it.
To build an image of how many people are in the room or where they are, where they're standing.
Exactly. I just want better Wi-Fi.
What we were trying to use...
Tech geeks are all concentrating on the wrong thing. That's the thing.
You heard that here first, officially first.
Did
AI,
they?
not really worth its weight in gold.
No, it's like an NFT.
Yeah. Oh my goodness! So we sat there relentlessly uploading these videos and doing this and spending like 5 hours a day every day through the pandemic, just filming these podcasts, and they were great, man. We had loads of time.
I like the way you just said, it's 5 hours. It's like, Ryan's not going to give you an answer, so it's 5 hours.
It was something like that though. Like by the time we recorded the episode, fucked around, back and forth, posted it. But like when we didn't have much other stuff to be doing, and not a lot of, I still had work on, but like it was so sporadic that
did you?
It was easy enough to do that. Yeah,
I heard a lot of people in that time didn't.
There was a lot of people that didn't. Yeah. I just kept going. So
why doesn't that work everywhere? You just keep going in life, but our podcast just doesn't.
It just it is honestly. If you guys have followed either of us individually on social medias, this has come up in topics as a bit of a joke. If it's not keep going, it's ducks or moss or potatoes. Those are probably our 4 repeating topics.
I just want to say I'm pretty sure, and you can go back through our podcast. I'm sure we did potatoes first.
I think we did.
I'm almost certain.
The concept of somebody saying, "Did you shoot that on a potato?" That's been around forever, a long time. As just a phrase. But we were definitely the first people to make, as far as I was aware, to make potato-based video jokes on the internet.
Do you know what we are the first of? As in, like, referring to putting a LUT on your content, shoving a donk on it. Now I know that's a song.
Yes.
And it's like shove a donk on it. Like, I don't know what that means in terms of music. It's like a donk, I guess.
Pop a donk on it.
Pop a donk. But definitely. Anyone, if you
hear... I took that from you. You were the first person I heard to say that. And then I just totally took it from you.
Well, that's why no one else has picked up on that apart from us. But I'm waiting for it because everything else we do gets copied by everyone else. So... Yeah.
So applying a color lookup to your videos, we just go
pop a donk on it.
Yeah, shove a donk up there. That can be applied. That can be an audio donk as well if you want.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
that needs to be some of the Over and Out merch that's never going to get made. Pop a donk on it. Actually, that's a great piece of merch.
That is a great piece of merch.
I was actually talking to a merch guy the other day about some stuff. Found a fella out your neck of the woods actually that does a lot of streetwear. And I thought, me and you need to chat. So we did about merch, about making merch. So maybe we'll do a line of pop a donk on it.
Yeah.
It can't be shove a donk on it for obvious reasons.
But I think this actual song is called Pop. I think it says Pop a Donk on it. Will we get in trouble for that? Maybe those guys don't exist anymore. I don't know. I have to look up the song because I know
you're essentially saying they've stopped going.
I bet you most people on this podcast listening to this have stopped going. If you're still here,
fair play.
Fair play to you.
We promise the future episodes will make more sense, and we're just trying to. This is just blowing out the cobwebs, and basically trying to work out where we go next. So I guess to get us back on track,
should we ask?
We started that podcast, and we did. We can if you have an opinion, put it in the comment section.
Below.
Let us know what you think you might want. I don't know about you, right? But from me, what I would like in this podcast is to be a little bit more featured around a professional side of what we do. And I don't think that we need to be deadly serious because we aren't very deadly serious human beings.
No.
But I think we are good at what we do when it comes to commercial client work. And I think we've learned a lot of that. And I think we also dabble quite a bit. Professional dabblers in social media content and online content. And I think what we wanted to do with this podcast from the very beginning was to have a place where we could just air these conversations. So Ryan and I have these conversations every day about stupid shit. Sometimes it's actually legitimately phoning each other up to ask for a bit of assistance with something we're doing. Maybe it's throwing an idea past someone or actually looking for a technique to fix something. And then other times it's just to talk about the industry, things we've seen, things that might be interesting. Sometimes it's camera gear. Sometimes it's new techniques. Sometimes it's things like, Premiere Pro releasing their AI generative fill thing for their video editing. That apparently has people who edit with DaVinci shaking in their boots. And people who edit with Final Cut just finishing videos.
Yeah.
Not waiting for buffering. That sort of stuff. So I think all these things are quite
That's going to annoy a lot
topical.
of people. That's going to annoy a lot of people.
So I think a lot of this is we'd like to be a bit more topical as well. Sprinkled in with a little bit of
magic fairy dust.
Time traveling.
Yeah, time slipping.
So I think when I look back at what we did, our first season was pretty good. We were getting our footing and working out how to process work to producing these things. Then season 2 is where we, I think, lost our minds a little bit. Started to where it went off on these random things. I can't remember when the Bernie Sanders episode came out. All those, we started talking about like topical stuff, just generally topical stuff.
We did stuff on Bernie Sanders. I don't remember that.
Yeah, he's in the thumbnail.
What did he do?
I don't know. Didn't he fall asleep at something?
Wasn't that me?
Well, no, yeah, potentially. And then in season 3, we tried to get creative, which I still think was genius in what we did. But it was a lot of work. In season 3, we spent a week producing a stupid idea. We would take an idea out of a hat, and then we would produce a video about it.
Yeah, that was a good series.
We would discuss that and break those videos down. And I think, they were probably on the right tracks because we were taking these ideas. We were taking a concept and trying to work out how you would approach that concept, whether you would go very literal, whether you'd go more of a wacky idea, whether you'd make a documentary about it, whatever it was. We'd have the week to produce a video, post it on our own YouTube channels, and we'd come back and discuss it. I think that was really good. It was, except the ideas were a little bit left field.
But that's okay. I think that was that's what made them great. I think it was ahead of its time in terms of, and when I say ahead of its time, I mean like, as in, I think if the podcast had been bigger, like those 2 Australian guys that gave up, they didn't keep going. What was it? Tommy and Blokey. What's his name?
That's bad, isn't it? I've totally forgotten their name.
Tommy Jacket. I know him.
Tommy Jacket, and if he's listening to this, he's going to be shouting his name.
The funny thing is I just,
what was his name?
All I do is I just see Matt Stone and Trey Parker, like, and that's weird. And like Tommy Jacket's Matt Stone. It doesn't even look like him, but the other guy, I think, because he's got blondish hair, looks like Trey Parker. So anyway, so South Park.
I can't even remember what the podcast was called.
The Daily Podcast?
The
Daily
Talk Show.
The
with
Daily
Tommy
Talk
Jacket
Show.
And what's his name? I talk to him all the time. They're two really nice guys.
I want to say Richard.
No.
Tommy.
And annoying. And there's a Canadian dude who was with them as well called Dillon, who lives in Canada.
Well, we know. Yeah, well, you would.
Canadinia.
He was Dill with a Y and an L.
Dill with a Y, yeah.
And an
Who I
A
saw
and an
tattoo as
N.
well.
Pretty gangster.
Oh my god. I have to Google.
Hang on, wait,
I've
go on,
actually,
do it now. Do it right now. Are they still going?
Yeah. No, not in that. They aren't.
No. Is Tommy's? Because I saw Tommy's. Something came up on Reels the other day on the Instagrams, and he was doing something or other. I forget. That's terrible, isn't it? That's my memory there. I don't even know if that's old age or just short form content.
I can't use the internet because I'm using Bluetooth on my phone.
Oh,
so the
okay.
internet and Bluetooth doesn't work.
Right, let me. Oh,
I am
hang on.
so
You carry on talking, and I'm going to find
Tommy
out his
Jacket,
name.
and they were doing a great podcast. To be fair, they were the epitome of just keep going. They did so like 2,000 or maybe not 1,000 episodes or something every single day. For 3 years, something like that. It was.
Hang on, here we
was
go.
outstanding. Josh.
Josh Jansen.
Josh Jansen. There you go.
Tommy Jacket.
Sorry, Josh. Sorry, buddy. Tell you, forgot your name. My apologies. Yeah, Tommy Jacket and Josh Jansen. Yeah. And they're actually doing. Well, they actually just stopped the podcast and went back into video production. So they post stuff now, like some pretty big commercial work that they do out in Strayer.
That's quite funny, really, because I feel that. Oh, I don't know. We were never at their level. Hopefully, we'll get to their level. But
I felt like they had got it far enough where they could have. That could have been their thing.
They couldn't have got away. Because I just think going back to like, I like video production, like making videos for people. But it's like, well, would you want to make videos for other people, or do you just want to sit down and talk to your mate about stuff and then make a living out of it? I mean, that is awesome, right? Like, me and Dylan, like Dylan said, we talk pretty much every day, and it's like, man, if we could just monetize this or make a living out of it, how awesome would that be? Because then you just like literally switch on the phone and go, hey guys, we're just making a phone call right now on maybe like something like Clubhouse. Is that still cool?
Yeah. Is that still a thing?
Is it still going? Did
Clubhouse had potential, but it was just...
Well, they didn't sponsor us. That was the problem.
No, the problem with Clubhouse was that it got, like every social media app, everyone jumped on it. And they just rinsed all the goodness out of it. And polluted it, I guess. Polluted the platform. Isn't that the best way to say it? And it just ended up with loads and loads of people.
That's another bit of merch. Like Over and Out Show. Over and Out Show. Polluting the platform.
Polluting the platform. It is, though. It is pretty true. And like these conversations, the reason we started the Over and Out Show was because of these conversations every single day. We used to send them in voice messages, and then we're sending so many voice messages back and forth throughout the day that we would lose track, and one of us would reply halfway through the other one, and then we were like, right, we'll just use a basic over and out whenever we're finished. So Ryan wouldn't reply in his voice messages until I'd had an over. And the same goes for us. And then when we were finished for the day, they'd be over and out. So we were like, let's just make this a podcast because maybe other people will find it interesting. And
turns out no one did.
I think
10 people did.
Well,
not yet. I just think we got like screwed by the algorithm. I
think so as well.
People always say you can't blame the algorithm; it's your content. And I'm like,
you absolutely can.
Dad, I'm sorry. Tell that to Picasso. Like seriously.
Yeah.
Look at his algorithm. Look at it.
Yeah. He peaked at death. Didn't he?
Yeah, peaked at death.
Dead.
Yeah.
Success. That's what we got to look forward to here.
Do you know? Just as a point of reference there, he had something like 65,000 pieces of artwork, give or take a few, which meant during his lifespan he must have made 3 pieces of artwork a day since he was like 16.
That's mad.
Isn't that mad? And he died at 92, I think it was.
Oh, was he that old, really?
Yeah. No, he had a good life. He had a very good life, I think. But no, he died at like 90, 92 or something. So you think, Jesus, that's like 3 videos a day for like the best part of 70, 80 years. I mean, that's mental, right?
And when did he actually become real famous? It was after his death, wasn't it? Wasn't he one of those, he was famous during his life, but wasn't he like, didn't he like
No, he was
really
he was pretty famous during his life as well because he lived so long. Like a lot of those guys, like Van Gogh and Gough, whatever you want to say, and Andy Warhol, they died relatively young.
Just keep goffing.
I don't want to hear about that.
What?
Oh,
about what?
Is that lost on you? Vincent Van Gogh.
Oh, the ear.
Oh God.
So cut his ear off, folks. Cut his ear off.
In case you didn't know. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, in case you hadn't heard that. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So there you go. Facts about art. Right? Everything. We're giving you everything here. But I think to close off that first bit, the reason we are keeping on going, all right, is it's a bit of a vanity project, really. Like, I just thoroughly...
No one else watches this. Of course it's a vanity project.
It's absolutely a vanity project. I absolutely love making a podcast. It's good fun. It's good laugh when we're in the right mood. I think sometimes we can maybe bring each other down a little bit.
I tell you, the problem was, the reason why that happens is because when we were doing it before, we were doing it, ironically, so consistently. And when you've got the pandemic going on, there's not a lot of work going on, everyone's depressed and staying inside. That's why you get the ebbs and flows, because it's like some days it's just like, this is horrible. But if you're doing this like once every a week, once every 2 weeks, I mean, you can easily, there's always good stuff to talk about. Like once you give it a week or two, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the more we do it, and I think as well, it also depends on, if we'd got more followers and we'd got more subscribers and that kind of stuff, it would have been more incentive to do it. Because I think it's like, well, people are enjoying this, so it's worth doing. Whereas, like, sometimes, like, if we, Dylan and I have our normal, like, daily call. If Dylan's really busy or doing work, or he doesn't feel it, or I'm like, fuck this, can't be able to speak about it, or talk today. It's like, well, it doesn't matter. We just carry on with life, and then we pick it up the next day. But I suppose when you're doing that as a job or a YouTube channel, you can't really do that. And I think that's why. It's because you did it so consistently with so little reward.
Yeah. Which is a massive achievement to be able to do that, to have that perseverance.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's a weird thing then, isn't it? Chasing, like, this whole concept of why you create it. We bounce this thing back and forth to each other constantly. We talk about, like, the why. Why do you want to make videos? What sort of videos do you want to make, I guess? And I think... Anybody who says it's not about the numbers is talking absolute and utter bullshit.
And also they have numbers.
They have numbers, yeah. And I understand the sentiment of what they're saying. it's not about numbers. They're trying to explain to you that, do it for you. But I just don't think you would do it for you at the rate that you do it with the numbers.
No.
So, like, I love making videos, and I make loads of extra videos that never see the light of day. They never come to the internet. They just on a hard drive, and they're just family videos, or like I've actually got a handful of vlogs that have never made it onto the YouTube channel. Have you got a London vlog? I edit them and I go, I do have a London vlog, yeah. You can, that'll be out soon on my own YouTube channel.
Will it be on the year anniversary channel?
I think so, yeah. 22nd or something like that. It's done, it's edited. There's just a couple of little things to drop in there.
Please, we have to find out the day that was on, because I think it would be so good for you to release that on the year. It's just that
the plan was to stick it out. I think it is like last week of October. I'm pretty sure it was like 23rd.
I can find the day if you want.
You can if you want there. I'll just keep going on.
You keep on going on, and I'm just going to look that up.
And I think there's this. There's a way of, like, you can make your own stuff, but I think there's a thing about people seeing it. Like, I love making videos and I love taking photos, and I do it mostly for myself, but I love sharing them with people. I would still do it if people didn't look and there was no way to share them with. I've taken photographs my entire life, way before the internet. I used to shoot film, develop my own photographs, and I've got boxes of them. And I would shoot them to a handful of people. I used to make videos, BMX videos, edit the things, design the boxes, and I would give them to friends. Like 10 people might see that video. But sharing those creations or those moments you've captured with people is part of the fun. So when people say numbers don't matter, they do and they don't. they don't matter because they shouldn't be your driving force for making content in general, but they are the thing that drives people to consistently make content.
I think that's something that's changed with time, though, because I mean, I'm the same similar as you. As like, you know, when I was a kid, I was in a band, used to be a musician, then became a videographer, and you know, when I was 10 years old, and I used to make album covers for all the music. Like, we'd have a band practice, right? There'd be like 5 or 6 awful tracks recorded straight onto a tape recorder, like the little tiny microphone you have at the top of one of those old cassette players. We're just recording it. I would make a little album cover for that, like, you know, sit in my room drawing that for hours. I don't think I'd even give it to anyone else, or I'd photocopy it and then it would be handed out to the 4 band members. You know, that would be it.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was just like, hey guys, this is what I did on a Sunday afternoon when it was raining, or, you know, I had nothing better to do and I just enjoyed doing it. But you see, now when you do that, it's like, well, there's this pressure to show it to everyone else because you got to share. Yeah. You know, you need to be sharing. And if you're not sharing, you're not helping people, and there's no value that you're putting into the world. What are you? Who are you? You know, I feel that when I look online. You know, it's like, if you've got to be sharing. You know, in order to be successful, you have to share, and it's better to share. And it's like, if anything, when I was a kid, it's like the one thing I didn't want to do was share with anyone. I enjoyed being alone. You know, and now it's like, oh, I now have to share my loneliness. What?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Quietly being lonely
while keeping going and sharing it on the internet by being an introvert, extrovert, ambivert.
I know what you mean, or I know what you're saying. Yeah, and I think that back then,
in the olden days,
that is kind of how it worked. Like, the stuff I was making, I was sharing with a handful of people in the same sort of way. But even just showing one person, sometimes you make a thing and you go, that's cool. So say you would make a video. If people like it, you might make another video a little sooner or a little more frequently than you did if you were just doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
I think the thing is as well, like, if it's tied into your life, like, I know for me, I like the process of going and taking photographs, and I like the fact that social media is there and you can share it with people. I think where we have always struggled across the board with our content is around that word value. And I think that I personally, I don't know, I get the need for everybody talking about value, but I think sometimes what gets skewed with it is art and value. I don't really like using the word art because I would never consider myself an artist in that respect.
Neither would I.
Yeah, so I do think there's a place for the artistic approach, and then there's the value approach is a way more functional thing. And I think one of the big problems is that a lot of I guess success or perceived success online, a lot of it comes from value. And I think for people like us, it can get quite confusing because you start to feel like you need to be giving value because you're seeing people who I think you feel you align with, who are doing videos like that. People who look like us, who talk about stuff like us, who make videos that might be quite similar or in the same sphere, photo or video or design or audio, whatever that is. And all their videos are tip videos, insight videos, how to do videos. It's all value-based. It's all giving. It's like teachers, tutorials, or as you always say, salesmen. And they're always giving information. So when we look at something like that and people go, oh, you need to give value. I think sometimes you've got to, like, I definitely feel you have to step back and go, but I'm not like you. You can give value. I can give value all you want. But we're not the same. We might look the same from a distance, but we're not.
But I think it's the question of value, because I would argue that I agree with all that. It's like, yeah, how do you do X? How do you do Y? Here's the camera you need. This is the tool you need to build the wall. But then you look at someone like who's that? Colin Geddes, your mate. It's like he adds value to the world, let's say, by being funny. Like that's his value proposition. It's like, oh, he does funny shit, so then people like it. Just happens.
So like entertainment value.
Because I think there's because like how would Disney or Amazon Prime or Netflix or anything like that? They are all value based. You do not go onto any of those channels and go, you know what? I really need to know how to change the oil in my car. I'm going to go to Netflix. It's like, No, you go to Netflix because you want to. Oh, yes, there might be documentaries going, oh, I didn't know about that mass murderer. Like, I needed to know that information. But, it's like you go to there because you're like, oh, I want an escapism. It's like, it's a value because I want to see the new Loki series or the new Star Wars, whatever it is, or The Witcher, or, whatever TV series you want to watch. It's like you go there and it's like, oh, that's the value. It's like, that's my night. I can then go and have dinner, sit down, we watch a couple of episodes of whatever it is, and that's good value, right?
Yeah.
And
hold on, that's good value?
Well, it depends what you're watching.
Is that a whole different approach of saying value? So what you're saying is like,
it's still valuable to someone.
It's what is value? So there's a value in entertainment, there's a value in education, and there's a value in information.
And then my point was going to be is that I think that where you and I struggle, and probably many people out there that should be listening to this podcast right now, is we sit somewhere in the middle, and that's a real problem for the algorithm, because it's very, I don't want to say it's very easy, but if you go, you know what, I want to teach people how to, I don't know, fix cars. So then that's your channel. It's like, today we're going to learn how to put a new door in a Mini. Brilliant. Yeah. Tomorrow we're going to learn how to change your oil in a Bentley. Whatever it is, it's like, that's valuable. Someone somewhere is going to want to learn how to do that. And then you got on the other spectrum, it's like, there's Colin going, I'm just doing funny shit all the time. If people like me, that's brilliant. And he sells out arenas in Belfast, doesn't he? So it's like, it's not like he's doing badly. Working. He's doing all right, So, but then there's you and I go, well, we kind of like camera gear stuff and we do this video stuff, but we also like the idea of just being able to do whatever we want and entertain people. And then people get confused because that becomes variety and like, oh, so is he funny? Does he do tours of Northern Ireland, or does he do camera gear? Does he do puddle shots? But now he's talking about shitting on birds because we did a stupid video.
That's a previous episode of this, by the way.
There is reference to that. But like, you know what I mean? And it's confusing to people. And that's what bothers me, because you don't go to the cinema confused, do you? It's like, you go, oh, I want to see the new Barbie film or Mission Impossible. And you're like, oh, I'm going to go watch that. And then you either like it or you don't like it. Or you think it's meh, which is most of the stuff.
It's sort of like when a band changes their entire album out of nowhere. A bit like, do you remember Panic at the Disco? Their first album came out and it was like, I guess, screamo emo.
No, it wasn't.
And then a couple of albums...
Single screen.
Well, not sorry.
Well, you know
that's not fair. Actually, do you know what? That's not fair at all.
It was proper emo.
That's not fair to true. Well, it wasn't proper emo. It was more
pop emo.
Poppy. Emo. A little bit of emo.
It was a bit of
emo. It was pop emo. It was it was very popular emo. But then they went very theatrical in the following albums. That's because the guitarist which is why I stopped listening. Oh, is that why?
He was called Ryan as well. Just saying.
There you go. He did not keep going. Classic Ryan.
Yeah, classic Ryan did not keep going.
Classic Ryan.
He was dealing with some fucking diva in his midst and was like, I can't deal with this bullshit anymore, and left.
Yeah, and left. Well, I think it's
to teach guitar lessons, probably.
to add value. To stop making art and add value. But I think like that is, you're right though. That is, we are in a weird little environment, little pocket where I personally prefer making entertainment, but I struggle sometimes, and I've definitely always struggled with my own content between taking a piss, making a joke, and then being serious. So like I know for a lot of my own stuff, it's loosely focused around the concept of exploring life for the camera, and then everything just sort of follows it, and that allows me to maybe shoot a piece about a camera, a piece about an area, maybe just a vlog with friends, and that I quite like. But that is definitely proof that to grow a channel like that is very, very hard, especially if you're not doing it all the time.
You've got the added problem now of having to have trigger warnings over everything. Yeah. Because it's like, no, I'm not saying you make extreme content that's going to piss anyone off, really. I mean, it's like you said the word.
Now. It could be in 30 years' time. Everything could be illegal.
It's like,
I can't believe you jumped that fence back then.
Yeah,
you
back
bastard.
Then. Yeah. Because, it's almost like, this, you have to say, this content's going to contain footage from a rangefinder camera. But it's not actually. It's the mirrorless DSLR of the 80s or whatever you said it was. That's against another red.
This is TikTok thing.
Well, yeah.
That was a classic example of confusion for me. I made a joke on TikTok. While I'm on a YouTube video, I was doing a video about an old rangefinder camera I found. There's no mirrors in it, so I called it a mirrorless camera from the 1960s as a joke. but I didn't have the word joke on my t-shirt when I was saying it. And then people on TikTok were like, I think you'll find that's actually called a rangefinder. And I was like, I know, lads. Go watch
like
the
Gary
entire
V.
fucking video. Gary V came on and started saying, it's a rangefinder camera. And I was like, lads, watch the fucking video. Read the caption. Right?
You don't have to watch a video.
That.
You just have to read the caption.
Could have read the caption.
Could barely
Which, weirdly, all right, there was a spelling mistake. So I couldn't even write in there, read it, because I'm pretty sure I wrote a word incorrectly.
Did you say again, read the captain?
No. No, there was a spelling mistake in the caption on TikTok, and you can't change the video caption description on TikTok after you've posted a video. Like,
so did you write like this is a Yashica flange finder or something?
No, luckily it wasn't that word. It was something else in it, but it was like finding. I've been finding this camera fun, and I've written like findling or something, fondling. I've been fondling this old film camera. It was something stupid enough that I had to tell him to go watch a video. But that's a classic example of the world, right? And I think users, I think there's a whole bunch of people here to blame for all of this, but I think part of it for us is that
mostly Joe Biden.
Yeah, most of it for us is just this confusion as to where we exist in this sphere of content, and then also balancing that up with like what the algorithm wants. So I think for this podcast, the tough thing is that we know this podcast needs to be a bit more focused, especially in how the start of it happens. And in previous episodes, it's always started with this uncomfortable phone call bit where we try to work out what we're doing, which is how this episode started. But they're not going to start like that going forward. We're just going to get into it.
Yeah, we're just going straight in. So that whole thing we're talking about, actually, maybe we put that as a segment on our Instagrams. It's like, this is in the actual episode, but here's a minute of us trying to figure out how to use the internet, a phone, a computer,
Bluetooth,
a video camera. I just said video camera.
A videotape. The high tape wasn't working. So but from this point on, it's just,
Gary V is all over this episode.
Hello, I'm Gary V. I'm going to teach you how to talk about wine.
Oh, he's like
sounds like he's from Darling Buds of May or Last of the Summer Wine. Last of the Summer Wine with Gary V. There you go. Jad. Who's Jad?
Jab. That was me doing an old man jab. That's Gary V selling.
Jab, right hook. Jab, right hook.
Fucking English
this
Gary
is
V.
so bad. Like
Gary V sounds nothing like that. I don't even know why that's come up. That's just our generic old man voice that we do. But
he's
I
not
think
even
straight in no
man.
kissing from this point on. What do you?
Did you just say no kissing?
I said straight in no kissing from this point on. Like when we go, the intro, it's just going to be bang. We're just going to be in your ears. Ryan and Dylan delivering the goods.
Value.
It'll just be like, welcome to the Over and Out show. Today we're talking about value. We're talking about filmmaking. We're talking about keeping on keeping, right? And then that'll be that intro roll, and then we'll just get into it.
Yeah,
same banter,
absolutely. And
same
then
chat, but I think
there'll be an ad from Brewdog.
Yeah, they can sponsor
and then
the
you
podcast.
Then you can.
I'm actually drinking a Brewdog today. This
so am I. So I'm drinking a bit. Which one are you drinking?
I'm drinking this Neon Dream Tropical Wheat beer. I'm not sure if I like it, to be honest.
Neon Dream. What is that?
They brought out a whole bunch of new cans by the looks of it. They've got one called Wingman. I think that's what it is. Which is kind of like Planet Pale.
Is that like a goose
really
pale
good.
ale?
No, it's not. It's
Do
goose.
Yeah. You see what I did there? Yeah? You like that
It's like
Brewdog?
a duck.
Yeah. No.
It's like a goose and a goose
from
and a wingman and a duck.
From Top Gun.
And a Top Gun
Goose is Maverick's.
The goose A.
The
goosies.
Never mind.
But anyway, Top Guns aside, they've done that. And then they brought this other wheat thing out. It's too sweet, in my opinion. It's not. It's a bit marshmallowy and like that sort of, I don't know, candy flossy sweetness.
Oh, is it not that good?
So I'm not a big fan of it. It's a little too sweet for me. But
I've gone classic with the Punk IPA. There we go.
I see that, yeah.
You can see that.
Can't really go.
Do you like
can't really
it?
go wrong with it.
You like
Can't
that?
really go. That's all right.
Can you guess what size can I have there?
You got the large one. I was wondering why you got that.
Yeah. Well, it was what was there.
Yeah. Big can, like.
That's big
they
can.
do them in balls now. I
big can for a big man.
Over there. Big can for someone's gran.
I hope they're going to put a trigger warning there. This contains
warning.
aged
Yeah.
content.
Yeah, does not contain any grands.
Oh, no grands were harmed.
So, so I think that's kind of. So I think we are definitely going to try to put some sort of, I guess, structure in place going forward with this. The way I would like to see this going is, I would like to get to the point where we can record a long episode, all right, once a month, that sort of looks back over the month and things that have happened. So we've got some topical stuff to talk about, that we can have a bit of thoughts, all right? And then we can look at like how that moves forward. And so we can like look back at what happened. We can talk about bits in the industry that are of interest to us. And a lot of this is going to be coming from the point of view of two people who work, who just burp on microphones.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be coming from the point of view of two people who work in the industry, in the UK especially, as full-time freelance creatives, shooting photos, making videos, design, I do a bit of podcast producing. What can I say on the side, because
for who?
For a couple of different people. Actually, someone was talking to me the other day. A tech company was like, "I want to do a podcast." I was like, "I'm your man for that."
Yeah.
So a little bit of that. So we're going to try to sort of
episodes, bitch.
85. Yeah. Let me show you how to consistently get nowhere.
Just don't let me do
what's
your
funny,
marketing.
right? But what's funny about it is if I'm doing it for somebody else, it's very obvious. It's very clear what to do. I'm like, oh, here's how you do it. And I can put the roadmap down and we can work it out. But I can't apply that to myself. Cannot apply that to my own stuff. So I think that's what the general gist of this podcast is going to be about. If you're loosely interested in those topics, there'll be some chatting like we've been going on today. I don't really want it to be, I don't want to geek out in this and be this super tech nerdy sort of chat. But I do want to talk and share stories and, theories and things that we've learned and
conspiracies.
Talk about the industry. I mean, talk about things like some of the new products and whether we need them. Not coming at from an MKBHD or jerry rigging, snapping cameras and shit. But let's talk about I think we need to do a full episode on the iPhone personally.
You cheeky
full
bitch.
episode.
Which iPhone?
Charlie. The fucking 15, the new one. I mean, which one?
Have you ordered yours yet?
No.
I've ordered. It's not like it's so hard to get hold of now. Apparently, I'm not sure.
I haven't ordered it, but I do think we need to talk about that from a real life situation because I've watched quite a few videos about it.
I've watched enough videos to get a real life situation out of this.
To get real hard on about this. I watched a guy the other day
Where did that come from? I said real life situation, and there's you just getting your old man Brown thing out.
Just getting your Todger out for the iPhone 15.
God.
But
that's it. We're over.
I think
that's it. We're done. We're done. Over and out. Done.
And no, but I watched a guy rig them up the other day, and I think we'll
rig
come back
what
to that
up?
next. Rig up his old man cock. No, his fucking iPhone. Rig up the iPhone to shoot professional content.
Oh my
it
God.
was interesting.
Do you know how many people those last 5 people we had have just gone because of you and your stupid genitalia content?
Full episode coming on the iPhone 15 theories and based on nothing. Like no, like
whoa,
based on just.
I've just realised something. How are we going to do that? Hang on. Oh, forget it. No, it's just old man.
What do you mean?
Old man stuff. No, because we're just going to talk about it. I was like, oh, do we do it when we both get one at some point in the future?
I don't mean
how
talk
would
about
we do
it
the phone call? Because we'd have to use the phone.
We're not going to talk about it from like. It's not going to be a breakdown of the iPhone. You want to go watch that? There's plenty of other people that are doing that.
I
want to talk about the theory of the iPhone because people are using it to make films with, right? And it's so easy to do this with. And then there's people rigging them up. And I don't feel like anyone's talking about and I think there's no better people personally on the planet to talk about using an iPhone for shooting videos.
Do you know what we are? We're people that have opinions.
Yeah, and the best place for those people is the internet.
Yeah.
A cesspool of information.
We're just filling the cesspool. I mean, like, but
we've
got a good turd, right?
But I think we have a good opinion on this. I think we have a good stance on this because I think
we've used enough bloody iPhone content, guys.
Yes,
like so, just iPhone and iPhone. It's not iPhone, it's Apple. Next time you release a fucking phone, there's 2 guys here that use them all the time for stuff, actual work, and actual things, and do the things all the time. And we don't make the movies and the Olivia Rodrigo
But,
Oh,
and this is the key
Dello.
thing, all right? And this is why Tim Cook's not sending us iPhones, all right?
Doesn't have my address.
He doesn't have your address, yeah. We're not selling the dream. We're selling the reality of using things like iPhones.
There's another T-shirt.
Yeah, exactly. And it's there, because there's a lot of people go, hey, you can use the iPhone. And I see people talk about using the iPhone to make cinematic things or whatever it is, right? Then they go out and film Moss with it. And it's like, and they built on a big fucking stupid rig or whatever. But like, I use the iPhone for so much commercial work.
Yeah.
I just slide it in there. Just a little iPhone clip. And no one knows. It goes completely unnoticed. And I've also shot stuff on the iPhone. I've had it as like an extra camera in interviews or B-roll stuff or behind the scenes, or like personally, I'd love to do the whole episode on why iPhone is a better fucking action camera than a GoPro or a DJI Osmo Action.
I think we should do that. To be quite honest, because I do love my GoPros, but I have had the DJI Osmo, and yeah,
that's how I feel using those cameras, GoPro and Osmo Action. I just
do you know that
I'm like, it was almost there.
To summarize it's do you know what? The only thing that holds me onto the GoPro is like, oh yeah, but if I'm on, I don't know, say you're on the one wheel, you're doing something, you drop it, you're like, oh, it doesn't matter because it's like a 300. You say it doesn't matter because it's a 300-pound camera, but when you look at it, and that's a 300-pound camera that will probably survive that fall, or it's I don't know how much an iPhone is, like a 1,500-pound camera, and it's like if you drop that, that's your whole life gone. If it smashes, right?
Entire life.
Yeah.
Bit of an over-exaggeration. When did he die? When he dropped his iPhone.
For a lot of people, that is fact.
AI could no longer scan his whereabouts. He died on the spot.
Exactly. But
well,
no,
I'm using
an
iPhone 8. Right? And I have had this phone for years. That's because my other iPhone broke the other day.
It's hard to believe you had an iPhone 8 for years. It's almost like, you just kept it in the cupboard. Just went, I'm going to use this now just because I'm cool. I've got a vintage iPhone. I used it.
Yeah. It's a hipster. It's as old as my microphone. Discontinued. It's but I've dropped this and there's no case on it. I don't put case on my iPhones. Now, to be fair, the iPhone 11 broke, but that was honestly just to do with, that was because I was doing a client shoot on it for 4 days in Portugal in the heat. It overheated.
Really? It didn't come back?
Yeah. Wow. We'll get into that in the dedicated iPhone thing. But what I was going to say is, I've dropped that iPhone 8 so many times. I've dropped it twice today on hard concrete, and it's still fine. There's scratches. There's no cracks. I dropped the DJI Osmo the other day off a table, and the screen cracked.
You're kidding.
The front screen on the inside, it was like it was a pressure hit, and it just fell on the ground. And I'm like, action camera, my ass. Like, but admittedly, it's an old DJI Osmo Action, but
it's still an action camera.
It's a fucking action camera. I mean, what do I have to do? That needs to take a beating.
Was it an extreme table?
A table made of rocks. Yeah. It just fucking fell onto not even a tile floor, just a regular floor. Oh, and I thought, that's absolutely useless. And my GoPro's at the bottom of the sea. So that's my fault, though. That's not GoPro's fault. I dropped it on my mouth mount while surfing, and it's gone.
Yeah, to be honest, you should have had the floaty on the back. Which is $29.99 with use our affiliate link.
Yeah, I did have a floaty in the bag, just didn't take it out. Do you know why?
Couldn't be bothered.
Irritates me. It's too big. Gets in my way. Hits me in the chin. Hits me in the chins whenever I'm paddling about trying to surf. But we'll do an episode all about that.
Totally,
I think that's an interesting topic. In
you know why it's an interesting topic? Because I do. When I say I get a lot of questions, it's a handful from various people saying, should I buy the new GoPro? Or should I buy the DJI Osmo? I want to go on holiday with my family. I don't really want to have an A7, S3. I don't want a big camera. What do I use? And I think there's a huge market out there for people that want a GoPro, but at the same time, it's massively limiting. It
is a limiting camera. And I think all these cameras are also affected by the hands that they're in.
But yeah, massively. And that leads us to another episode, which we should do, which is one I really want to do, because I know you and I have been toying with this for ages. I would love to get like a dad video camera, but a new a new one, like a video camera, like one that shoots 4K, zooms into your eyeballs from like a mile away, and I would love to. I would if you're out there listening, Sony, I would love to do a vlog on like an old handy cam. That's what they're called. That's what we've been talking about. Because in theory, that's what we should all be using, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when someone comes to me that's, I want to take this on holidays, I just get a freaking handy cam. Because the audio will be reasonably good. You can zoom in, zoom out, do all the stuff you need. Yes, you can't take it in the water, which I think is the main selling point for the GoPro and the Osmo. It's like, if you're going on holiday with the kids, go down the water slides, and you can just hand it to them, and they can jump in and out of the water. It's fine.
But isn't that weird that you said, like, you can't take it in the water? Like, you were immediately thinking, relate that to a GoPro, whereas I relate that to, like, what we're shooting on now, like SLRs, DSLRs.
No, but that's what I'm saying. You can't take a handy cam into the water. Because I would recommend a handy cam.
You can't take your A7S III either.
No. But I would recommend... Oh, that's true, actually. Forget everything I just said.
No, but I mean, like, yeah, you're right. You can't take a handy cam in, but I think that's an interesting point of view there, because I just look at GoPros and Osmo actions as like the mount cameras. The cameras, like, honestly, unless you want to mount it on something, they're fucking useless, in my opinion, because they're too sensitive. Their touchscreens do too many fucking bits and pieces. Like, if you mount it on a bonnet of a car and drive, class. Stick it on the front of your surfboard or on your helmet while you ride a bike, class. Try to use it handheld. You might as well just throw it at a duck, because it's of no use.
I would disagree, but the caveat there is you have to really know the limits of it, and you have to really know how to use it properly, which then takes you into territory of using a proper camera anyway, because it's so finicky. Because you know me, I love a GoPro. I love doing a vlog on a GoPro. But there's lots of caveats within that. But because it's my job and I do it for a living, it's like, well, I know those limits and I know what happens. So you can deal with it, or you don't use it for that particular situation, right? And then you end up going back to the whole, well, just use your freaking phone, because you know what, that's waterproof as well.
Maybe that's just the way in which we use it, because I can't argue with somebody like Stephen Reed, who uses GoPros and all sorts of action cameras for everything, and he would argue this with me as well. And to be fair, they work a treat for him.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I just find, like, for whenever I use them, the immediacy that I need.
There is no immediacy there. That's the problem.
Oh man!
Because today I switched on the GoPro, and it was like, because we went out to, I don't know, wherever we were, and I wanted to picture my daughter. And I thought, I want to use the GoPro more for blah, 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 blah. And I put it on, and I was like, it just turns on. That's 1, 2, 3. Right, you on?
You can feel it yawning, can't you?
I'm yawning. It's yawning. Everyone's yawning. And Lana at this point has just gone, I'm doing something else. Whereas I could have just taken my phone out, shoved the camera on, and we would have been done. And the photo would have been taken, sent it to the grandparents, and everyone's happy. You know, and I wouldn't have had to... do the whole thing with GoPro where you have to try and connect it to your phone, which is a whole other world of pain. Like that one thing. It's like, GoPro, if you're listening, sort your shit out with it connecting. It's like, I have to turn on the GoPro and it has to connect to my phone immediately. If it does not connect immediately, it's pointless.
Even if just send a low res JPEG, like just a low res for immediate. Like,
it's not even that. It's the fact that it says can't find the Wi-Fi network, and it's like, well, you found it yesterday, and then you do it again. It's like, oh, there it is. It's like, that's not good enough. That's not AI. Sort that shit out before you start looking at the state of my rectum. Adobe,
fix Sony's Edge software as well. That can slide directly up its own Jaxi. That's another piece of tech.
Right. Okay. We're just ranting now. We should stop.
So this is the sort of stuff we'll go into this in a little bit more depth. So I think in future, we're going to come back with this with a bit more structure. I'd like to do these long form podcasts where we upload the entire audio episode to the audio streaming services like Anchor by Spotify, Apple Podcasts. What's the other ones?
Are we going to upload this whole video to Spotify? Spotify.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
So we're like Joe Rogan.
I just don't know what my thoughts are on the... I asked Colin Get it. I asked Colin Geddes this because he does not upload the video version to Spotify.
What a loser.
To the onlines.
What a loser.
He does the YouTube, but he said, and he's right, it diminishes the quality of the video and the audio.
I like the fact that he thinks he's got quality video.
He does. Have you seen his podcast?
Have you seen our podcast? Has he seen our podcast?
To be fair, his setup is absolutely ridiculous. Like, ridiculous.
What, like in his garage with a little heater
he
or
has
something?
got he's a studio in Belfast, and he's got like There's like 3 different sets in there. It's insane. Niall, who produces the podcast for him, when you watch him do it as well, he's editing the thing live. So he's sitting there with like a big editing desk,
lazy
screens and things, joysticks and levers and stuff.
Oh, piss off.
No, seriously. And then he as they're doing it, he just changes camera angles as they go. And when they're finished, it's like, that's it, done.
Oh, does he use does he use the Da Vinci thing?
Yeah, because he shoots them on Blackmagics.
Oh, of course he does. Of course he does. That makes sense.
3 Blackmagic pocket.
Yeah, because you
can
can live edit that, and then it just gives you a Da Vinci timeline all edited, and then you can tweak it if you. Yeah, that's really boring. You don't need to know about that, but yeah, that's amazing.
It's very good though. To be fair though, Niall's one of those people that Niall dials in with the gear. He loves that shit. You know,
Does Niall dial in with the gear?
Niall and his dial.
Niall.
But whereas I've put
Does it take a
table
while
on some sticks here for Niall to dial. Yeah, it does. Yeah. But those guys are killing it on the podcast platforms. To be fair, so I think. Yeah, if we can do that, then I think the full audio version should go on to the Audibles, and then the video version for this one will be on the YouTubes. Yeah. But I think we just split. I'd like to split the podcast into sections because I don't know about you.
Good luck with that.
I've been watching Stephen Bartlett a lot.
Oh,
Diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
All right, and I listen to his podcast. I quite like listening to his podcast, but I watch the snippets, and normally he sucks me into his podcast because I see a 10-minute version of a conversation, and I listen to the 10-minute version. Well, I'll watch the 10-minute version on YouTube, and then I'll proactively go the next day and listen to the full-length episode over a week while I'm driving. It catches me constantly like that. That seems to work better in my head because the idea of watching a 10-minute video is achievable, but you put me down for a 2-hour video like this on the YouTube, and it's a lot. It feels like a lot. So I'd like to break this up. That would allow you and I to record this once a month and break it into segments and then play into the YouTube algorithm of uploading once a week. But really, we're doubling down.
Yeah, we're doubling it, and then when the audience comes, if you build it, they will. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Said Kevin.
Yeah, and we need to rely on you guys, our valued listeners and watchers, to get the word spread out. We need you to spread it open to the wider demographics. And I think there's I don't know. I don't know. I just think it needs a little bit more focus, a little bit more structure.
The thing is, I think at the end of the day, it's yes, we want it more focused, we want it more structured, but we still want to do it because the amount we talk and I genuinely think the amount we have to offer the world as 2 individuals speaking, I think it's enough, right?
Yeah.
There are people out there, I'm sure, in their mid to late 30s, early 40s that are the world the way it is today, in the creative world, and then which bleeds into, world issues and AI and all that stuff and stuff that's going on all various places in the world.
And I think,
it's all there and it's all happening. And I just think that there's a room for us, there's room, YouTube.
Yeah.
You're listening?
Yeah.
You're listening?
Right now it feels like that scene of Forrest Gump when he's walking on the bus, and every time he goes to sit down, next it goes, taken. Take. I can't do the southern accent. That take, and we're like, come on.
No. What you do is you just go,
it's taken.
It's just imagine Gary Vee is sitting on that bus.
Bus of Gary V's.
Bus of Gary V's, and Tom Hanks is just going, "Can I sit there?" And it's like,
no, it's taken. My NFT is sitting here. It's valuable.
Yeah, a bus full of NFTs. But I think you're right. I think there's, and I definitely get it. I get people here asking me,
when's the OverAndOut show coming out?
A surprising amount of people asking me business advice in a creative world, and I mean, people ask me for gear advice.
They really
sometimes.
don't know anything.
Yeah, people scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, because there's that, and then you get all your info from me, so that's really scraping the bottom of the barrel. That's there's no barrel; it's just the floor. It's just moss that you're just digging up, passing on to
blue-green
other
algae,
people.
and I'm just there with a fucking fishnet. Oh, that's not what I meant.
But it is. That's
It
it.
is.
That's
It is, but it isn't.
That's exactly what you
But
meant.
I think like people asking me stuff all the time, and I think sometimes like I'll explain, especially with like people who are maybe looking to work for themselves or are struggling to work for themselves, whatever that is, and working in
Like
our
me.
industry.
Can you give me
Sometimes
some
I
advice?
think you go onto the interwebs and you watch videos by, all these value providers and YouTubers and stuff who are all doing an amazing job. But I think sometimes you watch these people and you get stuck in this comparison cycle of like, oh, I need to be doing this. And it's like, yeah, but a lot of these people are not really, it's not that they're not living in a real world. It's that they've found their way and they've got there. And I think sometimes you forget how to explain that. I think we talked about this before. Like once you master guitar, it's hard to teach someone the basics of guitar because you're so far gone. But I think like
That's
we
why I
live
find
in
it hard
the
to
real
speak to anyone. It's just like I'm so far gone within like just superior living.
enthusiasm, just a will to live.
Yeah.
No, but I think like because we live in the real world and we work on this day to day, I think
Yeah.
our approach is always a little bit more
Realistic.
yeah.
Well, no, it is because it's
real
like,
preachers have done is better than perfect.
yeah, exactly. Because the thing is with and just like with a lot of gear stuff, it's like you can say this camera does X, Y, and Z, and it's like, yeah, but it literally does not matter because at the end of the day, you turn up for the shoot. The room you said you were going to have isn't there. The person they said you were going to interview isn't here. Turns out there's no electricity for you to put your light up. Your battery's just run out. And the camera you were going to use, it doesn't work anymore or something. And then you're like, well, okay, that's brilliant. Then how do you deal with that? Because at the end of the day, someone is still paying you to do that shoot. And I think what people forget, and I know that you are similar to me in that it's not as, especially with a lot of video, and this is like what no one really talks about, is that you are actually a problem solver. That's what you do.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't, I can turn up to do a shoot with an iPhone. You can turn up to do a shoot with an iPhone. If I had to, if I absolutely had to, I could make it work. It's like, as a videographer or a creative person, like, if you've got I don't know, something like a design, a logo to build or to do anything, it's like, if all your computers went to shit and you had to do that with a pencil, could you do it?
Yeah.
That's the difference. And I think that's what a lot of people miss out. It's like, oh yeah, I got a camera, I can do this. It's like, I've been told how to color grade in DaVinci. It's like, that's all awesome. But when you turn up on the day to the shoot and you are bombarded with this shitload of stuff from the client, and they don't give a fuck if you know how to use DaVinci. They don't give a shit how many times YouTube videos you've watched. Can you solve their problem now, today, at this very second? And that is what experience over time gives you, because you have to adapt to the situation. If it's like, you know what, you've told me what you need, and now I've realized that actually shove the FX6 in the sea, put that back there, let's just get the drone out, get the iPhone out, and just get this done. Because those are the two things 100%. That we need to get this job done. And that's it. And lots of people don't understand that. And it's, it's okay to use just the drone and just the iPhone for that job, because that's what the client wants.
Yeah.
And I think that's this, and this is the illusion that everyone gives you that and it's not all about gear, and then lots of people that will try and sell you gear then go, oh, it's not about gear. And it's like, no, it was never about gear. Yeah. It's never about gear. And but sometimes it also is about gear, because if you have a job and they go, we want to shoot this on a Blackmagic 6K, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, then I need to get one. And then that's it. You have to do that.
Yeah. The trick is it's not that it's not about gear. It's about knowing what gear is needed and when. And I think a lot of the people that make these sorts of videos, there's just a lot of them. And I think the problem is that it's not even a problem. I think the thing is that YouTube lends itself a lot to tutorial driven stuff, educational driven stuff, and always sort of has. Once it got past cats and pianos, it got heavily pushed by a couple of different categories. Vlogs and day in the life are one side, but a lot of informative stuff like that. So I think a lot of people from our neck of the woods, there's a lot of people that maybe would geek out on gear that would immediately go down the route of making videos about gear, because it's not that it's easy to make the videos, because it's not. It's
not easier. No,
it's easy to understand what you need to do in that respect if you're not overly precious about your ideas and not necessarily the outcome. And I definitely get hampered by not making the video because I am overly precious about my ideas. So then I struggle to produce the videos, and then I got on the cycle of fucking questioning everything tenfold.
Yeah.
And I think like you're saying there about you know, knowing what gear and stuff. Like I did a shoot last week. I was shooting like an event all during the week, and I started on the first day, and we were doing like pretty typical talking head corporate video interviews. You know, two cameras, one light, hair light, mic, and you're just like asking questions off camera, and they're just talking. This is going to be used for a larger part. And that one required me with all the gear that I own. That required me with proper lights. It required mics, the lavs, overhead thing, all the bullshit. All right, and then I had to go into filming this event. So for the rest of that day, I was filming on the main camera. I had the monitor. I had all the handle attachments and cables and shit. And it looked the part.
Yeah.
Had the big cinema lens on it, the 28 to 135 thing, and it was class. Every day and section of each day, I just removed parts of that. Until the last day, I was shooting that.
So you were basically playing strip poker with your gear.
Yeah. If there was another day at that event, I'd have been wearing no trousers. That's all that was left to remove. So I was filming the last day in A7S3 with the 24 to 70 handheld using the flip out monitor. And I had an onboard mic because I wasn't needing to record any audio for that stuff. But that is because as the event moved and we needed to get more nimble and more agile as we were moving locations and jumping between rooms, and the rooms were getting tighter, I couldn't have all that shit on top of it. While it was great doing it in the big room and you were shooting long rooms across people's shoulders, as soon as you need to start following a group of people, we were doing tours and on buses and in bars and you know, things like that. I needed to start, you can't be fucking around with that stuff. So it's knowing when you don't need that is as important as knowing when you do.
I think it's also trying to educate the client in that as well. Because there is a lot of time when it's like, especially with this new iPhone coming out, again, it's for another episode, but I look at like that capabilities of what it does, or just having, because I got the 11, 12 iPhone, whatever it is, and it's great quality and everything, but obviously the newer one, better cameras, blah, 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 it's, you know, it's whatever. But when you look at doing events and people are like, oh, we need this, we need it now, it's like, let's just shoot it on the iPhone. Because if you don't need any audio and you don't need anything, and you just want, let's say a what's it called, like a montage of your day doing this event, it's like, just use your freaking iPhone. Because you don't need anything else, because it's going to go on Instagram, and you should probably shoot it vertically as well, because it's going to, depending on the company you're with, obviously, because people have different, some of it goes on LinkedIn, some of it goes on Instagram. You know, you need to look at like the company you're working with, but like generally it's like, people will watch this video and then it will disappear. Then that's it. And then they might want to re-bring it back like next year when they're going, right, we're going to do this event again. Here's what we did last year. And it doesn't really matter, because it's like whether it's on LinkedIn or Instagram, it's probably their whole strategy probably won't have changed. If they're big on LinkedIn and they want it landscape, then that's fine. They just repost it. If they want to do it in bits on the reels on LinkedIn or TikTok or whatever, it's like, that's fine. You know, but it's like about understanding like what you need, and it's just, you know, and that's the thing, is like, that's what you're paid for, that's your talent, not the gear. It's like understanding, it's like, actually, you know what, you're going to pay me £1,000 for this or whatever it is, and you go, you know what, I'm going to bring my iPhone, and they go, what? And you're like, well, we don't need any more than that. You know, but then why am I paying you £1,000? And it's like, well, because it's, you're paying me for my talent.
iPhone cost me what?
I need to buy
down payment for this phone.
It's down payment for this phone. But you're right. It's like, well, why are you paying me the £1,000? It's because I know how to use the iPhone. And the other thing, like I was thinking about the other day, I was chatting to my friend Mike, and it was like, when you had the iPhone and you were just going to do an event, oh my God, it's so much easier. Because when you go up to someone and you have an iPhone, you're like, oh, I'm just going to like pan around this bottle of wine or whatever it is, and then then you look up at them and you take when a person gets confronted with an iPhone, it's not nearly as intimidating as when you have an FX6 on a tripod.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Every time. And it's like, so you can almost become part of the crowd, and you can get so much better content using an iPhone to shoot an event than you will with an FX6 or a fucking A7S3 on a gimbal or whatever, you know. No, well, you should leave this for another episode because
I know. I have so many interesting things to say, but we will come back to this on a full episode about the about shooting mobile devices. But we'll call it the iPhone because we use iPhone, and I just prefer iPhones to other things, which I have used other ones. But yeah, it is interesting.
Shut up. I've used.
What?
There are.
I actually have tried.
There are other beers.
Pamela has
there
had
are other
Huawei and
iPhones
Samsung. My son has a OnePlus. I've actually tried shooting with them, and they're all. They're fine. They're fine. They're fine. What I find is they look great on phone, but every time I bring the footage off the phone to use on the camera, they fall apart. That's
the other thing as well is
it.
you got to bear in mind all the system around the camera. That's the other thing as well. It's like
it just works.
Yeah, it just works, and
AirDrop.
Yeah, AirDrop, and I have an Apple account, and everything syncs, and it's just easier. They've got that down.
And that's where you separate the audience. Oh, fuck those guys. But that's fair enough. So I think that's an interesting approach to it. I think we can keep doing it that way. Keep having some interesting. And I think I'd like to talk about stuff like, like managing clients. I think a whole episode around that would be quite fun.
Massaging clients.
People management basically. I
think,
absolutely. The tricks of working for yourself.
That is one thing that so many people don't get right these days. Let's not discuss that right now. Let's leave that.
No,
for
we're
the
not
episode.
We're gonna. That's
let's leave it.
So if anything you guys are sitting there going, do you know what, guys? We'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this. Drop it in the comments. DM us on Instagram, OverAndOut Show, and we'll start putting a bank of these together. I think what I'd like to do is get to the point where we can do an episode that has a high topic and then we break into sections, so that we can. That we can feature different things. So we maybe have an overarching theme for an episode, but then we, delve into little bits. Maybe delve into what we've learned in the tech industry this year. Maybe a real life example of something we've learned at a shoot or at a job or something. We try to break those little bits in. That'll be good. But to be honest, it just feels good to get behind the microphone again.
I've actually really enjoyed this.
And look at your gorgeous face from across the country.
As my look on life is, this has been wonderful.
Very bleak as well.
Very bleak.
It's been good. It's been good.
If my brand were a brand, it would just be black, like the Black Album, like Metallica, just a black soul going life.
Just a black soul. Talking of black souls, have you watched Philip Bloom's new video about the Mavic that I sent you the other day?
Blacks.
Philip Bloom, if you're listening to this, what's happening, fella? It's been a while.
Bloomage.
Bloom is like
gangster.
He's like, I mean this in the nicest possible way.
It's all right. No one is still listening.
He's
right
the
now.
old dude that just doesn't give a fuck. Like, he knows what he knows. He knows what he likes. He doesn't give a fuck.
Do you know what's
and I
great?
love that about him.
Is that he is like 10 years ahead of us. Like, that's how I feel. I look at him and go, wow, I thought I didn't give a fuck. Like, I'm starting not to really give a fuck. But he's like, I'm full on.
Yeah, he's so good.
I am a cat dad and I don't give a fuck.
I watched his video the other day. I watched his video the other day where an example shot he used for a drone was a ground level close up of his cat eating food. And I was like, I get it. I know why you're doing it. He's showing us depth of field. Like, I get it.
You're never going to use that.
Brilliant.
Never
it was
use
genius. But it's never like I would be like that. I need to film my cat eating close up. I tell you what I need to use, a drone. Now, obviously I'm assuming the blades weren't spinning, because you can imagine the cat trying to eat. It was just these two blades spinning around his face. But he did this video, and it was outstanding. It was about the Mavic. If you haven't, go and check out Philip Bloom's. If one of us remembers, we'll tag it below. It's his review of the Mavic Mini 4 drone.
The new pointless drone.
It's just brilliant. It's not the drone. The drone's right. His video is brilliant. He's just wandering around some fields and forests with a drone following him, and then he's mic'd himself up and he's running all the audio through. What was it?
Isotope.
Yeah, isotope.
It's isotope. IZOTOPE. Affiliate link below. Not.
And he's isolated the audio out so that it's removed the sound of the drone.
I reckon you can do that in Final Cut.
And then he's just added back in the sound of the forest. No, but that's just technically how he's done it.
Again,
it's
didn't need to do any of that because I couldn't hear any of that. Anyways,
but it's
doesn't matter.
because it was so good. It was so natural.
Yeah.
That it was like you didn't even notice it. And only when he said, and I was like,
bollocks that you just believed it.
no, because when he said, for those of you that are wondering how I removed the sound of the drone, and I was
wasn't.
oh yeah,
wasn't.
I wasn't until he said it. Then I was like, oh yeah, of course, the drone. Like,
of course he has.
I just assumed, I was just like, he's laved up. So
that's
anyway,
because you're not a tech person like me.
He's meandering around this forest, right? Like just wandering about, filming himself on drones, using a whole bunch of different shots to show off stuff. And what I like about Philip is that he's got the ability to make all his stuff cinematic. But for a large part of those sorts of videos, he doesn't do it because he knows real world users. So he just shows you what the drone likes if you just fire it up in here and film a lake.
Well, you know
he's like, that's the clip.
Do you know
he's not putting a teal donk on it.
But do you know that shows a true professional? Because let's relate that to the music world for a second. It's like, Billy Joe Armstrong, Green Day, right?
Green Day. Green Day.
Green Day.
Oh, Billy Joe.
He is an amazing guitarist. He can really actually properly play guitar. But you know what he does? He uses 3 chords on every single song he writes. It's the same with Weezer as well. Rivers Cuomo is amazing guitarist. Just writes pop songs. Does not ever bother to write a shred solo. He just
That's the genius, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the genius. Well, it's because you
knows his audience.
Well, you know your audience, and
Someone say he knows what a value is.
Oh my God! And here we are, full circle. Look at that. Look at that, guys. We are bordering. We are bordering. If anyone's keeping on going right now, I don't know if I can keep on going with this because it's we are on my audition, 2024.
It's laughing.
It's laughing at me going an hour 31 minutes. Yeah. To be fair,
mine
though,
actually says my counter has gone from 1 minute 30 to just 1 minute dot keeping on going. That's what I'm seeing.
1 minute wanna. There we go.
That wasn't even that good a joke, but it was just so inside.
That was just for you. That was just for you.
That was
just
anyway,
for
look,
you.
let's cut this short. Go and watch Philip Bloom's video because you got to go watch this. It's great, especially if you're interested in a drone and you want to know all the ins and outs of it, or you want to see someone film a cat with a drone. It's great. I do like watching his videos. He's definitely up there with some of the he's up there with the group of people. When I need to know stuff about gear, I watch Philip Bloom, Jared Polin, and MKBHD.
Who?
MKBHD.
I don't know who
Marcus
that is.
Brownlee.
Oh yeah.
You know those three guys.
You don't watch the other guy, Gerald Undone.
Actually, Gerald Undone, if I wanted, but I mean, only for very particular products.
Only
he
if
loses
you
me.
really wanted the rectal version of any product.
Yeah. Yeah. If I wanted to know the ridiculous ins and outs, if I was spending big money on a thing, I would watch him for those things. But a lot of the stuff, he goes too tech. For me, with those three guys, and then maybe sometimes with an iPhone, I'll watch a bit of Jerry Rig, just to see, if I accidentally while having my breakfast
pull out cheekiest of bitches. You are.
A fucking commercial drill and drill a hole through my screen. If you're just sitting there watching TV with your family and then you decide to grab your iPhone and snap it in half with your fists, will it break? I like the way he tears iPhones apart. It shows a bit of durability, and sometimes unbox therapy. All that sort of stuff, watching him take it apart, and I quite like all that sort of side of things.
Yeah, good for you.
So
I don't watch the internet.
Tech stuff. But anyway, look, never go watch those guys if you want actual in-depth tech stuff. We're just here for the crack.
Yeah.
This has been fun.
It has been fun. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Good fun.
Thanks for letting us enter your ear holes.
Yep. Hope we didn't hurt you.
We were gentle on the first episode.
Yeah, just there quietly, just whispering into your lobes. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys. We are over and
out.
Right. Well, that's.
I was about to start licking the microphone.
Oh my God! All right, Hannibal. Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. Do I put my?
Before you do that, right?
Yeah.
Before you do it, should we do a real quick teaser bit here?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
A real quick riff on what this episode's about.
Mm-hmm.
We're back. Guys, what's happening? We're back. It's the Over and Out show. I'm Dylan. This is
Blokey.
that's where you talk. Look, Blokey, the street rat. We're bringing it back. We're bringing the Over and Out show back. Why are we bringing it back? Just for the crack. Brilliant. Right. There's two people at this podcast, but we've decided we're gonna come back with structure. We're gonna come back with a goal. Right?
Should we?
We're gonna talk.
Are we going to put this on the Instagrams just out of interest? Because
this is the video. This is
What?
it. This is
Are
the
you
only
saying
take
it?
we're doing that.
oh, okay. Sorry. Karen. I fucked it.
We're gonna talk a little bit more about tech, but in our way, and we're gonna talk about life experiences around working as full-time professional creatives, all of that sort of stuff. We released we're calling it a bridge. We're calling it the difficult. What do we call it? The difficult third album or something?
The difficult third album. Yeah.
Except it's the fourth album, but it's the bridge between this.
No, we had
last
the
season.
difficult third album.
We had
This is where we come back.
Yeah, this is the comeback. Yeah, all over your ear holes. All right, and we're going to channel a little bit more with a bit more structure going forward. So stick around, have a listen to the full episode. It's on the audio channels and it's on YouTube. Maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you'll enjoy it. Yeah.
Either way, doesn't matter. Live your life.